they no longer have the need for the steel pins, get them out and give the chance for the bone to grow back. Same thing with wire. When they no longer need it to hold the body together, then it should be removed. Now, on the other hand, there's a time, there's a place, and there's a purpose for all things under heaven. Even medications, painkillers, operations. So let's not be too hard on people as long as people know not to overstep their boundaries. Medical doctors have their place as long as they stay in their place. But when they overstep their boundaries and get out of the area of crisis medicine, they're in the wrong area. And this is why medical doctors should know what their place is, rather than assume that they are the MD or medical deity which controls and directs all people into health, which is death, if you look at it very carefully. Did you want to say something, Maurice? I wish you would. Come up here, please.
We have to be careful about installing metals in the body, like artificial hip, what do you call those things? Hip replacements, yes. I have one man who has had his hips replaced, hip replacements, whatever they call it. The thing is, the so-called stainless metal that's used is about 70% nickel, which is very toxic and dissolves into the body. So a lot of people with metal dentures, it's almost always nickel steel, high nickel steel, and it poisons them with nickel poisoning. Pins to hold in fillings. Lots of times the dentist will drive in a pin to hold the filling in place. Well, the pin itself is probably a nickel steel pin. And of course, they often drive the pin into the root, which kills the nerve, and that's the end of that tooth. Something really important, I suppose, is braces. A lot of children are given braces to straighten their teeth, and that's a high nickel steel, and it'll depress the immune system very seriously. One doctor in New Zealand, a Dr. Godfrey, says if you want your child to have braces, they should have their blood tested about once every 2 or 3 weeks. If the white count goes up, they got to whip those braces out because they're on their way to leukemia. So, yes, ma'am. I'm about through anyhow.
I was just talking with a lady who has put braces on, and the dentist suggested that she had to have the teeth cut down so the other teeth can move into place. And I remember what you said, that once we file down the tooth start dying. Right. So, like if your children are going to have braces, they also do that now. They're filing down the teeth in between the braces. They take the braces off and they file it down and they put the braces back on. They say that that's to help the teeth adjust, so when the braces are off, they all fit.
It's probably true that the most dangerous step you can take is to step through the door into the dentist's office, outside of marriage itself, I suppose. But cap teeth are very, very dangerous because they almost always file the tooth down sort of into a cone shape so the cap will fit in very nicely. And the more you drill on a tooth, the more that tooth is likely to die. Once it's dead, it's a very dangerous tooth. And that goes for bridge work too. So if you have say 2 teeth up front to replace, say you knocked out 2 teeth, so they put a bridge in and they attach it to 2 teeth or several teeth here and several teeth here, then they do a lot of drilling on those side teeth to anchor the 2 front ones. and that kills the side one. So you'll end up with no teeth. So unless you can get the dentist to cap the tooth without drilling, once they start to do the drilling, it's a shock to the tooth, and probably within 12 months that tooth is dead. And then there is a type of dentistry where they'll anchor a false tooth to the bone. They'll drill down into the bone and they'll anchor a false tooth to the bone so it's permanently there. You know what I mean? Have you heard of this? And that, of course, implants a metal into that area. It also disturbs acupuncture points there, which are connected to meridians going up and down. So wherever you disturb meridians, you cause trouble. I can't think of anything else at the moment.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's go on with the sclerology. Now, bottom line, can you push that up, Anita, this way? There we go, hold it, back up. There we go, hold it there. A right eye, and if we have a right eye, this will be a heart indicating line, is that correct? Okay, and so it comes down along here and down into the feet, legs area. If we see something like this, remember, it's oftentimes where we have a cholesterol buildup, which is actually your funny fats or trans fats, call it what you like, but it's the type of fats that the body cannot utilize, and it sits in there and blocks the normal flow of blood down through the aorta, down through the femoral artery, down into the legs and feet. Now right here you have a very interesting little configuration. It usually occurs at about 7 o'clock. Now I've looked at this for every person who has problems with the pancreas, and they have this particular problem going down through their body. They'll have this little thing moving up like this at 7 o'clock in the pancreas area. Now look how close this is into the edge of the iris, and usually you'll find a pancreas where you have the indentation in toward the pupil in the autonomic nerve rate. Okay? Now that indentation oftentimes goes all the way into the pupil, and the further it goes into the pupil, the more difficult it is for that organ to bring about a healing, and sometimes it takes a long, long time. So anyway, here you have a little pancreatic problem. What I have found over the years, there's been 2 people, probably in the last 30 years, I'm thinking in terms in the United States, about 2 people in the United States who did not heal in their pancreas area, but still had widely fluctuating blood sugar problems. I found that if the adrenal gland has not been properly cared for, that the adrenal has a direct relationship to the pancreas, and that as long as the adrenal gland has not been tended to carefully, then the pancreas itself cannot heal. What I have found over the years is when you take care of the adrenal gland, and as soon as that has reached a point of healing and restructuring, then the pancreas will heal and restructure. Now that's a very important aspect of it. Now sometimes you'll have a line, an indicating line coming directly into the pancreas area, crossing over the degeneration line. Now this could possibly be considered to be an indicating line, but it is attached to this particular line, which seems to give greater indication of the problem in the pancreas, because the greater the problem that you have will be indicated by this particular configuration. I found that to be also true at 8 o'clock, and I'm going to throw this in now. I don't have a chart to show it, but the same thing is true with the liver. The same thing will be true with the adrenals. The same thing will be true with the uterus and prostate area on the other side of the eye, where I have another line coming down. You follow what I'm saying? So when you see these little pieces of kind of like a dead-end line coming off of another line, pay attention to this. Pay attention. You might have something coming off this way with a red dot on the end of it. Pay close attention to that, because that red dot will indicate that you have a problem further out in the iris than where the degeneration line is. You follow me? You got me on that? If a line comes off this way and has a red dot or something on the end of it, where it's something like this, it's on the other side of the line, indicating further out in the iris. This would indicate going in further into the iris. Does that help you? Okay. Next, please. Now, here's where you have what they call, can you bring this over here a bit, Anita, so I can, okay, these are double indicating lines. And you can have double indicating lines anywhere in the sclera of the eye pointing in toward the iris. And so if in the heart area you have double indicating lines like this where they're parallel to each other, this does nothing but increase the severity of the problem in that organ where you find the double indicating lines. Next. Yes, sir, Peter? I have never seen a triple line in my life. You've seen it? Really? I believe you. Would you like to pass that around, or is that the only copy you have? Okay, pass that around and make sure Peter gets this back so you can see it. When it comes up this way, I want to see it too. I've never seen a triple line. And you're going to run across things I have never seen. And you'll see it one time, you'll never see it again. This is good. Okay? This is the hard-boiled egg white. Do you see any red indicating lines? No. On the scale, thank you. You heard the story about this is a empty frame, you know, and you tell a person, how do you like my picture? And just an empty frame, you know, with a flat surface there. So it's a picture of a cow eating grass. Well, where's the grass? Oh, the cow ate the grass. Where's the cow? The cow left. There's no grass. The same thing, you know, you think about it here. There's nothing here. Now, what level is that going to be fiber level-wise? Not necessarily black, but is there any functioning ability of the organs at this point in time? No, so you're down at unconsciousness, really. You may not be fully black in the fiber level, but you look at that also to kind of cross-reference to know where you are. If the fiber level is black and this is nothing at all, you know you are in trouble. I've only seen that one time. I better tell you a story on that. Lights are on. Turn that off a minute. Or do you want that on, Rob? I was up in Bismarck, North Dakota. And this one family had 14 children. And these are up in Bismarck, North Dakota. All these people were German, but they're about Germans from 7, 8 generations ago. And they've all moved up in North Dakota, and they speak the old German. And they stick together as families. But the whole family came in, and the mother brought this little baby that was 8 months old, if I recall correctly. But what I do recall very thoroughly was that it was just like a limp, wet little cloth, you know. It was scarcely breathing. There was no heart rhythm to its heart. The fibers were all black, like a piece of coal. Remember that one chiropractor I had the eye slide this weekend? And there was just, there's nothing there, just a black hole. This is what I saw. And it's the first time I ever looked at what appeared to be death. It got my attention. And the sclera was absolutely clear. There wasn't a line in the sclera. And the mother and father had this little baby to all of the medical doctors from Minneapolis to the Mayo Clinic. And there's nothing they could do for the wee one. The baby wouldn't eat. He wouldn't sleep. Just a little skinny, little scrawny thing, and you thought that every time it breathed, it was gasping its last. And so here the parents say, help us. They put this little limp thing in my arms. First thing we did, we rubbed minerals in a colloidal state, an aqueous solution, all over the little baby's body. And then we had all 14 of the kids and the 2 parents around a table, a massage table, holding points, starting with the STO point and going right down with every single point we could get our fingers on, including heart firing mechanism, and so on. It took about 3 hours to hold points on that wee one. Now remember, this little kid had never cried in his life. He was about 8 months old, never cried. He just laid like a limp, you know, just a limp, and the mother did everything she could to keep him alive. At the end of about 3 hours, the fibers were coming out white in that black, coal black eye. The child was gustily crying, crying his little head off as it was getting feeling down through his cold, clammy body. The heart was regular after holding the firing mechanism for the hearts, and the sclera was getting red lines in it. Needless to say, from that time on, that little kid grew by leaps and bounds, crying, sleeping at night, eating everything he could get. Everything he could get. I was going to say get his hands on, but it's almost too small for that at first. But it just had a tremendous appetite after that, and became perfectly healthy little boy. About 3 years later, I saw this little 3-year-old running around, and that was the one that was this little limp thing that I didn't think was going to last the next 5 minutes.